Another video for you about what we do here at Acupuncture of Iowa as far as this electrical acupuncture. So I am a student of this method called electroacupuncture medicine, EAM. The head of EAM is Dr. Jeremy Steiner. And I ran across his trainings a few years ago, and I was very, very impressed with his utilization of electricity in a way that's really, really more sophisticated than a lot of the other electroacupuncture methodologies out there. His own philosophy has been influenced by 2 or 3 major teachers that he studied with, one of whom is a man named Dr. Jerry Tennant. Dr. Tennant lives down in Irving, Texas, and he's got a big clinic down there where he specializes in helping people with very serious problems. Dr. Tennant was a cataract surgeon. He actually invented the cataract surgery, as I understand it. And as a result of leaning over the faces of thousands of people, he somehow ended up with bacterial or viral meningitis, actually. And had to basically stop practicing for a long time, somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 years. Because the infection was viral, there was no real treatment for him at the time. This would have been back in the 80s. And so he read the history of medicine, and he read a lot of science, and he read a lot of physics, because he was searching for a way to get himself better. And he came up with a kind of an alternate view of how the body operates. He saw the body as a set of solid state materials that transmit electricity, just like we know solid state materials do. And that these different types of tissue in the body transmit electrons in different ways and carry them through the body along what are basically the pathways of muscles and connective tissue. And he also noticed that at each of these points that are considered chakras in the kind of yoga world, we could measure the electrical potential like a battery, and that each of these batteries attached to a pathway that would go out and come back. He figured out how to measure the voltage in these batteries, and these batteries roughly correspond to what in Chinese medicine we call organs, and the circuits are roughly what we call meridians. And so Dr. Tennant realized that the reason the body ends up with disease is because there is a deficit in the resource of electrons. The only 2 resources that our body uses are electrons, which it uses to do all biochemical reactions that help us heal ourselves and build new tissue, and all the chemical reactions in the body have to do with electrons. And the other major resource that we have is the building blocks from food. That's it. That's all we got. Now, as long as we were sleeping on the ground for who knows how many millions of years, we were always being filled up with electrons from Earth. We were always being recharged by the Earth, because electrons will flow from an area of higher concentration to lower concentration. But once we started wearing rubber-soled shoes and walking on vinyl tile and living in buildings that are insulating us from the ground, we were unable to recharge our batteries, and we ended up with a deficit of electrical resources in these batteries that run the entire body. My teacher, Dr. Steiner, was very, very impressed by this concept. Not only impressed by it, but impressed by the kind of clinical results that Dr. Tennant was getting when he restored the electrical resources to very sick patients. And Dr. Tennant devised a couple of different tools to do that with. We use those tools, 2 of them, in our clinic. One of them is a microcurrent stimulator, similar to a TENS unit, but very, very specialized. It has specialized kinds of frequencies that it can generate, and it has very high voltage, as I've talked about on another video. The other device that we have kind of acquired from Dr. Tennant's model is a device that emits something called scalar energy, which is a type of energy that the biological systems use quite frequently. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but I like to tell people this energy stops your body from blocking the information that I am trying to put into your system. And so at some point in your treatment here, we might point something at your head that looks like a strange flashlight, and you can't feel anything, you can't see anything, but it just makes the treatment work much, much more effectively. That's why we like to put electrons into acupuncture needles, because we're looking at what systems of your body are in a state of deficit, and then we're trying to build up your resources by adding electrons to your body. And in some cases, we will even ask people to purchase these types of devices to use at home, but in that case they use TENS patches instead of needles, so that you can treat yourself at home and restore your own body's resources in between visits with me. So hopefully that answers a little bit more of the question about why we are so dedicated to using electricity with all of our patients. Thanks for watching.